Approved. Item new business, item 6A, consideration, there is no unfinished business, no appearances. Item 6A under new business, consideration of resolution 17-12-2228, extending the life of tax incremental district number 2 to fund the Renew Monona Affordable Housing Improvement Program. Gary Becker will be appearing at our council meeting tonight to give us some background on that. But Mark, did you have?
Yeah, I mean, I can add on this. This is basically we're closing. So, this is just a formality because we have to close, technically notify the state that we'd be closing the TIF. And this is the notification we have to do to close the TIF and to say we're extending it for the Renew Monona program. So it's a requirement we have to have done. So that's.
So do you want to just send it on to the council, or what would you?
Yeah, I mean, I don't. If you have any questions, I can.
Any questions?
How much do we have, or would there be generated?
So it's what was in the this year. So it's roughly. I should have brought it. No, I said it, but I think it's $1.4 million, roughly, approximately right around there, give or take, 50,000. So.
And I think that has to be spent. 75% has to be spent on affordable.
Yes.
Housing, although the definition of that is
gray lines, probably.
Yeah.
And we will be revising the Renew Monona program before we actually spend the money. We're working on a revision.
Right. CDA started looking at that last week, I guess it was, and we'll continue to look. I don't think we're having a December meeting, but continue to look at it. We have staff to get some more data for us. So.
And I believe we have to send this, I'm sure, for the Renew Monona program that's attached here is what we have to send. It's just the outline, if it gets changed, it's okay during the year.
Yes, that's the current program, right?
It's just the current program, so.
Any other questions, Brian?
Yeah, Mark, if I'm hearing you correct, even though we're sending this in for the extension piece, because that's what currently exists, but if we make modifications, is there a level of significance if we make modifications that we have to
I don't know for sure, but I think as long as there's some requirements, as long as the requirements by the state are met, which are met in here, as long as we don't change those requirements, it would be fine.
I think we've already involved Gary Becker in the process up to now, and he's going to be working with Sun on revising the program. So, anything else?
Well, I'm fine moving that we move it along to City Council with no recommendation from this one.
Okay, fine.
Is that a second?
Sure.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Item B, consideration of resolution 17-12-2227, authorizing the City of Monona to apply for a large-scale lake management planning grant from the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources, and this is started for immediate action in the council packet. So, Mr. Stefani.
Thank you, Mayor. We are seeking Finance and later Council's permission to submit a grant application for the third and final large-scale lake management planning grant. This is for the study of the Winnequa Lagoon north of Nichols for the PCB contaminated area. The DNR is asking that we get council approval just to submit the grant application. I think they want to ensure that we have the funds available to meet the grant requirements. We have $37,500 budgeted in the 2018 budget. The grant reimbursement will be for $25,000, so the city's on the hook for $12,500. Some of the work that's going to be completed in 2018 includes the final design, the final technical specifications, and preparing an official cost estimate. They're going to prepare all the permits for any dredging that we would do, and then assist the city with bidding services. I'm also working out with Strand to have the engineer appear at a future Public Works Committee meeting and a City Council meeting, either January or February, to give an overall summary of what they've completed for us the past 3 years, what the DNR has required of us, and then where we're going in 2019 after.
So that might give us an indication of what we can be expected to have to do to remediate it, or is it too early for that?
We have an idea, and that will be to dredge. City council is going to have some decisions to make with regards to the extent of the dredging that we want to do. There's a certain portion that's for PCB, and then there's a parks portion that I believe Jake wants to continue north. And then most likely in the future, I don't know if he wants to go south of Nichols as well. But at least for the required portion for the DNR, we have an estimated cubic yards, about 775 cubic yards, as of right now, right around 400,000 for the PCB portion. So, but Strand will give a better, I guess, overall review of what they've done the past 3 years for us when they come in. So, as of right now, just seeking your permission to recommend to council that we can submit the grant application.
Okay. I guess I should have asked for a motion first here.
Yeah.
And then if you have any
I'll move.
questions, there a motion.
Move approval.
Second.
Any questions for Dan? Any further questions? No? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you.
Motion passes. Thank you, Dan. Our next item is 6C, consideration of possible revisions to employee merit pay guidelines. This is something I asked to have put on for discussion, and I should have taken a closer look at this sooner. We have $18,000 in the 2018 budget for merit bonuses, which are decisions about how those would be paid out are made this month, typically, although they don't have to be, as part of the employee evaluations. And I discovered in taking a closer look at this that while it includes, I was looking at the list of who got them last year, and there was a list of everybody eligible, and there were, I think, 33 out of 45 people received them. Some didn't because they were new, and others just didn't. But the only library position was the director. There weren't any of the library staff. And the rationale, this program started, it was intended for non-represented employees. And then after Act 10 passed, as people lost their union representation, they were added to the list of people eligible. So public safety, police and fire are not, although dispatchers are included in the list as being eligible. So library staff do not have a union anymore either. It seems to me that at least some of them should be eligible for the merit. So I guess there's a couple of things I think we need to talk about. Do we want to, I made a little list here. Do we want to add the library staff? Do we want to continue this long term? Do we want to add the library staff? If so, which staff? And there's probably at least 8, I think, considered permanent employees who should be considered, who have regular hours, and a couple of them at least work full-time, if not close to it. But I also don't know if $18,000 is going to be enough to give much in the way of bonuses once we have another 8 people. That's like increasing it by 20-25% of what we did last year. So April had come up with last year, these parameters for how much is kind of based on salary. That's what these merit payment guidelines are. Suggested ranges. And they have a form, the supervisors have a form that they fill out recommending people, and then April takes care of the department heads. And so they make recommendations, and then she kind of has to juggle things around to make sure, it isn't that people always get the exact same the department head recommended, because she has to keep it within the 18,000. So I'm here asking for your input. I do have a copy of who received what last year, if you want to see that.
I've got copies in case, if we go into closed
Okay,
session,
so
we
we
can
can
look at the
closed session.
history of it, for the
Yeah,
last 4
so-
years.
So we thought at least this portion should be discussed in open session. If anyone has any thoughts. Doug?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I definitely think the library employees, the permanent positions should be I think even, this year, if possible. The one concern, because I had seen the list of how many people, and that's the number you just gave, how many people are getting it. almost like you're far more likely to get it than not. It's almost like a participation award, which I think is great for kids soccer, but not so much.
Well, we've got a good staff, you know,
Right.
so, yeah.
True. The other thing is that, we talked about the budget, when we always do across the board percentages, the higher paid people get a bigger raise than lower paid people. And this tends to accentuate that trend. The guidelines for the different positions with department heads, those are just suggested ranges, you can do whatever, but,
And of course, the department heads have more responsibility too. so-
right, they do, yeah.
So,
I think in the future, if we're going to continue it, we probably should have some more money in it. I'm not entirely persuaded it should be continued. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I know, I guess I should, and certainly for this year,
mhm.
because I think there's an expectation, of at least the people from many staffers, I think that they probably will get a merit raise. I mean, we certainly should do it this year. And even if we decided to phase it out or to not do it in the future, I think we still have to figure that, So
Right.
if people have typically gotten that bonus at the end of the year, and all of a sudden you do away with that program, it's effectively a compensation reduction. So,
Maybe it could be part of our discussion, the whole compensation discussion next year too. I guess if we are going to keep it for this year, which I agree, I think we should, do we want to include the library people? And then if we do we add them to the $18,000 pot, or do we possibly think about taking something out, adding something to it for fund balance? I don't know.
So when I think of why this program exists, and although the goal at top is nice and simple and straightforward, the idea of rewarding good workers, I think there is because it's a merit payment and it's not a merit raise, so it's not something that really raises your base salary to continue. I do see it connected with, there is something unique about this year or your performance within this year that is significant and out of typical, that we want to provide some level of compensation and reward for what that is. And, I think of some tangible things where I know there have been employees that have not only just gone above and beyond when it comes to their day-to-day work expectations and have just done a good job or a great job with that, but there has been something like outstanding out of the realm of the day-to-day grind that has either helped us as a city gain efficiency or somehow been more effective with something that I really would like us to be able to be more targeted and substantial with providing some merit bonus target to that. And so what I'm hoping, if we keep a program like this, that it isn't washed out. So, so if there's 40 employees, if nearly all 40 get it, I see it as almost a wash then. Let's just throw it in the general compensation, and why wouldn't it just be part of the raise structure in the sense of everybody has a merit bonus of X percentage, because it doesn't seem like it's actually
Right.
targeting anything specific. I'm not necessarily suggesting that we only give it to 5% of people, but somehow a much more explicit target of this is really something we want to get behind, like why we think it's important to reward. I know as a department head, they likely look at all their staff and go, there's great things to reward each of them about, but I think we need to set the difference apart between ongoing performance review feedback versus that equates to getting the merit bonus.
Mhm. And I think, for instance, Dan does not always give it to everyone, correct, but different department heads handle it differently, and not every department head has several employees they supervise either. So,
Just one other observation is that, I don't know, a few months ago, excuse me, we gave raises on top of across the board to several employees in recognition of either increased duties or job performance, or so. So I don't know, it's a little bit of a mishmash. That probably needs to be.
and some of those are to bring them up to market rate too, sometimes.
Right, yeah, but I agree with Brian that for it to be more truly a merit bonus increase should probably be more targeted, but I would be interested to hear what staff have to say about it too.
Right now.
Yeah.
Here we have anything to add? Any thoughts?
I think we've got 14, 15 full-time staff in Public Works. I am all for coming up with a better solution to reward staff on a merit-based, performance-based solution. It seems to me like the amount of money we have available in the budget versus the amount of employees that qualify for that or that are included in the program, some may at times not get what they deserve. I as staff, as a department head, definitely support City Council looking at the merit program, and if we can make it better, that'd be great.
And making it more of a merit program
Right.
rather than everybody getting
Definitely.
almost everything.
Right. I mean, that's what a merit program is for, is to reward those that go above and beyond what their position description describes. And I think we need to reward staff, not just in Public Works, but every department. We're in a competitive area. We're in the second largest metropolitan area in Wisconsin. Some communities around Monona pay very well because they can. If we lose people, they're going to our neighbors, and they don't have to move, so that they can move jobs without moving their family. So we're competing with Waunakee, Middleton, Madison, Fitchburg, Verona, communities like that. And I, as a department head, I want to make sure we can do all we can to keep our good people here, and that includes paying them a competitive wage and offering a merit program that that is also very good and a benefit to keep them here as well. So,
Thank you.
thank you.
Leah?
I think this merit program has changed dramatically from what it was when I first started at the city, 9 years ago, and mostly due to Act 10. When I first started, basically merit pay was given to department heads, and my understanding was that it was partially merit, but also partially sort of a little bit of additional compensation for having to attend lots of night meetings and committee meetings that they, didn't necessarily get compensated extra for. So, and then when Act 10 passed, it was sort of, Act 10 was obviously very controversial, and there was a little bit of, well, look, you'll be a non-represented employee, you won't have those union benefits anymore, but you'll have benefits that the non-represented employees had, which just then completely changed the whole merit program. And while I agree in theory with merit pay should be for the people who go above and beyond, I also think that there are many positions in the city where people maybe aren't going to have the opportunity to do something extra special for the city, but if they're answering the phone all day long and being consistently every day pleasant and helpful, is that not worth as much as, someone who's, saved the city some money somehow, or done something extra special in that way? Or if they're a 911 dispatcher and, they're always prompt and they're always there and they do a great job every day, but there's nothing really, above and beyond their duties that they do, would they then be disqualified? So it's definitely, we've had lots and lots and lots of internal discussions about this program for sure. There's no easy answer to it, one way or the other.
Thank you. Well, there you, I'm sorry, there's more staff.
Yeah, that's right, I forgot these.
Yeah, so do any of you three have?
Well, I would definitely echo what both Leah and Dan said. I know with Leah, we kind of talked about kind of the history of it and kind of the same concerns we had with, like, some departments aren't, it's hard to get that above and beyond, which is kind of difficult, and how do you do that? And I do think the employees right now, they look at that, and I think that it goes back to someone kind of expected no matter what, they're going to get some type of thing right now. So I do agree with Dan and everybody else here that I think it is something for the council to kind of look at and see if they do want to keep doing the program, or just kind of a little more rules, or how do you want to define it a little bit more, how it should be done, because I think there is a lot of gray areas right now. I think some department heads, no matter what, will just say that all of them are above and beyond. Then some will actually, say some are not. Some will, offer some and some not in their employees. So I think it's that part too. It's challenging. So that's all I have.
Anyone else? John or April?
I'll just say that the formerly represented employees do get overtime pay for working extra hours.
That's true.
And we do not. I'm here in my salary. It's part of my job. I'm not complaining. I understand that. But I always, the merit bonus was always presented as a slight compensation for the time that we put in extra. I know in my position, there isn't a lot I can do above and beyond. I'm working pretty steady all day, every day, and it's statutory work. I can't make a new widget and make 50 more sprockets, so it's, there may need to be, really looked at narrow the focus of it to, but, I'm sorry, I have a cold. But that's the way that it always was. So it sort of lessened the sting of working late, So.
April?
And just to follow up on that, if that was the intent, then we probably maybe should call it something other than merit pay. To me, that's a different thing, and we tried to develop some criteria, at least so that when department heads filled out this form, or when I fill it out, it causes you to think through why you're recommending what you do. And I know I don't recommend the same for everybody, because some people just have an extraordinary year, like the year Joan had 6 elections. She should have gotten a little more for that work, for sure. So so I think in that respect this could be a very good tool, because I think not everybody's year is always the same. I think a couple things, thinking about part-time employees and frontline counter employees. We've had, department heads on some leaves of absences where we've relied on those people to keep those departments running. And again, they don't necessarily have the opportunity to create like a rock star program, but we completely depend on those people to be reliable and consistent every single day, and that should count for something. And I think we have a really good problem, and we have excellent employees here. So
And we have too many people who deserve a merit.
yes, and then it kind of thins out the pot. I hate to say it, and I think if people get 0, they feel like it's a punishment. And I think this certainly can be used to send a message or to tell someone, hey, we didn't like what you did this year. This is kind of a message to you. But I haven't had to use it that way since I've gotten here, but I can see how at times it could be a tool for that. So It's a tough thing. If I get recommendations from the two departments that do have more than one staff that they supervise, like Public Works and Parks, if I disagree, then I should have a reason why I disagree with their recommendations, and I don't supervise those people day to day. That makes it hard for me to override their judgment, if you will. I mean, that being said, I've had to, adjust the figures downward for some people, just because I can't go over budget in what we give in the overall total. And again, that makes it a bit of a challenge. And one thing we didn't talk about was part-timers. I did adjust down a little bit.
Right.
But, maybe you disagree with that too. So, yeah, it's tough.
It's hard.
It's all gray area in this. There's no black and white or right, wrong way to do this, I don't think.
Well, should we look at, we're going to go into closed session. We can take a look at what was given last year for a little bit. I mainly want to discuss an evaluation process for the city administrator position. But we can think about that, and maybe when we come back out, we can talk about this a little more.
That was very helpful. So,
Yeah.
thank you.
Okay. So is there a motion to go into closed session?
You have to read the whole thing.
Oh, I'm sorry. Is there a motion, next item, convene in closed session under Wisconsin statute section 19.85, sub 1, sub C, considering employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility. This is for the performance review of the city administrator, and it's also dealing a little bit with the individual performance review and merit payments. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Clerk, please
This
call the roll.
requires a roll call.
Please call the roll.
Alder Wood,
Aye.
Alder Holmquist.
Aye.
Okay, we're in closed session, and Leah will be coming in.
Do you want us to not?
Right, just the three of us and Leah will be coming in for the discussion, so. We are going to take care of the bill approvals at the next meeting, so is there a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned.